everybody, it's Lauren, and I've just finished my second week at Andrew Lewis, and it's been an adventure. As you can probably tell, I posted a blog earlier this week about some of the issues I was having. I've had a lot of great things going on, but also a lot of struggles. This week in particular was pretty crazy because I stepped out of my comfort zone and I incorporated technology into my classroom, and not without some difficulties, but I do see the relevance of having some of it. I introduced my students to the wiki that I created for the classroom and let them navigate that a little bit. We didn't have so much time to work on that so far, so I'm going to continue working with that with them. But they did enjoy doing that. At least most of the students, some were students who were very enthusiastic, and then other ones were just kind of whatever about it. One of the problems I'm having is we have CALS, which is, a laptop on wheels. And so we have enough for the entire class, but the problem is a lot of them don't work. They have problems with them. They won't connect to the internet. They won't use their login, won't work. So it just takes a lot of time to do. And I was really surprised when I gave students the option of typing theirs. It ended up working better later in the week. But the first day I allowed students to be able to type. They didn't know what a Word document was. They didn't know how to italicize. It took up a lot of time. It took a lot of time away from their actual writing. So in the future, I'm definitely never using laptops with rough drafts, and only using it if students want to use it to type their papers. I do think it's important that they know how to use Word documents, that they can do all these things, but at the same time, it's very hard. It's finding that balance between how much instructional time, or how much time is lost in the classroom just during, turning on the computers, signing in the computers, waiting for things to load, dealing with students that have issues with their computers. So definitely takes up a lot of time with that. In terms of everything else, it's been going pretty well. We also basically they had their final drafts of their movie critiques due on Thursday, and they began working in their groups, coming up with the scripts of what they wanted to do for either they want to do a video or a podcast based on their movie critique. So basically, it's just me assessing once again whether they really understand the essential elements of a movie critique and persuasive writing, if they can work together in their groups and just come up with something creative and exciting that they can share with the actual audience. These will be watched by other classes and possibly by their own class as well. I'm kind of mulling that over right now. But it takes a lot of time. That's the biggest thing I would say, is that it's really hard to put a lot of time aside, especially without having your CT kind of like, oh my gosh, it's taking forever. But I do see the value of doing these things, and I think it is very important to incorporate these things. And I probably would have given myself maybe another day. I don't even know if I would have needed a whole another day. We only had probably 3 people who didn't get to finish, 3 groups. And one of them was because they kept messing up and kind of started laughing and everything. But overall, I can't wait for them to see their video critiques. I think they're going to really enjoy it. I do think they're going to get something out of it. And overall, everybody did a great job. It just, people were coming up during lunch to film. People were coming during directed study, which is where it's pretty much a study hall. And so they were doing that, and they all seemed to be really excited about it and not seem like it was just busy work, or, they were actively thinking and collaborating, which I just loved. It's just, an issue with noise in the classroom and balancing, letting them talk and do everything versus it getting out of, chaotic in the class. So it was fun. It was really fun, and it's just, finding that balance is the biggest thing I would say, and figuring out how I want to do things. My biggest thing right now is that I've started grading the movie critiques, and they had several days. We'd talked about the essential elements of a movie critique for, I would say, 2 to 3 days. And, while that going on, looking at professional movie critiques from their favorite movies, looking at video versions, written versions, going over as a class the essential elements, having them come up with them, discussing them as a class, creating a rubric based on those, going over the rubric, And then, reminding students when they're revising, they're like, oh, I'm done. I'm saying, have you gone through the rubric? Have you checked off everything? Made sure that you have every single thing on there. Yes, yes, yes. Well, obviously, not all students did that. It's not very surprising. Just in general, students rush, so they want to get done, or they don't have time. And I just wish they would have taken that time, because it's a lot of points that they lose just because they forget stuff or because they don't fully explain. Some students, amazing. Oh gosh, I read one. The first one I read was amazing, which probably biased me a little bit. But it was just very good. It was exactly what I was looking for. It wasn't overly academic. It was fun. He was giving his point of view. He was supporting it with evidence. And it was really good, but there's some other ones and they're just bombing because they just fail to not even talk about something. They don't even compare the movie and the book, which we talked about for probably 3 days. So it's just very interesting, and I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do about that. I think what I'm going to do is, if you get below an 80, you can meet with me during lunch and we can go through your paper and discuss why you got the grade you got. And if they can choose to do this. This is an option. This isn't required. And then they can revise it during directed study the same day, perhaps, so it doesn't take up too much class time, or maybe overnight. But my biggest thing is I want to discuss it, go over it, talk with them about it so that they understand, so they're not just correcting little things I put on there, because it's a bigger picture issue with the people who got below 80s. It wasn't minor punctuation or spelling. It was, they left this out, they didn't cover this, they didn't go into any detail. It won't be a quick fix. And I want students to actually work on it. I want them to be able to ask questions, because I really want them to learn this. Because not that they're going to be writing a movie critique every day, but that they need to be able to write persuasively, to give their opinion and to back it up. And that's what a lot of people fail to do. They fail to give examples and things like that. So I think that's what I'm going to do, have them come in, maybe give half the points that they would have gotten. I always feel, I don't know, it's always hard with that kind of stuff, because I want them to learn, I want them to get the points, and to get the point of what we're doing, so that they walk away from that. I don't want them just like, oh gosh, I got a horrible grade, crumple up and throw it in the trash. But at the same time, regrading and being fair to the students who did well the first time. So I think, it's a big enough assignment where it will affect them, and I think that they do need to come in, and hopefully they'll take advantage of that. But I don't know. I'm excited to see what next week's gonna happen, how it's gonna happen. We're gonna have the viewing on Monday. We have a testing day on Tuesday, and then I'll start The Giver. So I think I'll feel a lot more comfortable when I'm doing a novel, when I'm getting more into a routine, and the students feel more comfortable that they're getting a routine, that it's not so crazy. I think everything will settle down. But anyways, it's definitely like, oh my gosh, I have so many papers to grade right now. It's a little overwhelming with everything, getting lesson plans in and job stuff. I'm sure you guys are all a little overwhelmed with all that stuff too, so I'm sure I'm not the only one. But anyways,